Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, as you're all probably familiar, the Wuthering Waves 3.0 livestream has concluded. And while there are a lot of amazing, absurd new feature additions that are coming to the game, there's something else that we need to cover as well, and that's going to be the new characters, the new banners, and everything that's going to be showing up here. Because boy, oh boy, we've got something pretty nuts, and you're probably going to see a lot of different screenshots from the live stream. We've got our first set of triple banners in Wuthering Waves. Yes, 3.0 is not just the new region, it's also the number of banners that we're going to be having on both halves, because good golly gee, the lineup over here is looking insane. And what we're going to be doing today is letting you all know the best units to pull based off the state of your account and why. So let's get right on into it. But before we begin, if you're looking to pull Lynae, Mornye, their weapons, or the existing for lower Cantarella banners and are thinking about buying some lunite, you'd probably like to save some cash. LD Shop is a fantastic way of doing that, and I'll show you exactly why. LDshop.gg gives you access to huge discounts on pretty much anything you can buy in a ton of games. But let's click on WooWa for now. The monthly pass, usually it's $5 dues, but on LD Shop, it'll be much less. What a deal! To claim one of these discounts, just select the item you're looking for and click top up to submit your payment. You'll need your Kuro linked account email, password, and username. This might seem a bit off, but remember that LD Shop already works with sensitive account information with their emulator, LD Player, so you can trust them for their services. They also have excellent reviews on Trustpilot. If you created an account with Gmail or Facebook, use the directions in the top up menu to link your account to an email. After finalizing your payment info, wait a couple of minutes and your items will be on your account. New users can get a 10% discount and an additional 5% using my sponsored link, and first-time top-up bonuses are available as well. That means you can get some big discounts. Spending $80 or more will net you a VIP membership, which can get you a free 30-day lunite subscription. So try LD Shop today. So the goal of this is to take a bit of a piece-by-piece look of every single unit, also take a look at the 4 stars, and then also take a look at the weapons as well. And the good news is that I have the privilege of owning, other than the 3.0 units, every single unit that's going to be on all of these banners alongside their weapons. So I feel pretty well equipped to let you all know all of the ins and outs when it comes to that value. So first unit over here is actually going to be Lynae. And the stuff that she's going to actually provide, the utility that she's going to have on the battlefield, wasn't actually super clear. All we know from the live stream is that she actually has like 2 different modes, can apply 2 different types of this unique tune break effect, and is meant to be, I think, one of the introductory characters to this tuning archetype. And the thing is, while we didn't figure out a lot when it comes to what her kit is going to do, you can tell by her playstyle, and perhaps something else from some of the preview materials that we've gotten in game, you can likely actually tell what role she's gonna play. So we know that Lynae is a Spectro pistol user. There's a new Spectro set where casting an outro skill increases the incoming resonator's attack and grants them additional attack based on their tune break boost. Well, she's a Spectro character, so she might have a buffing outro skill based off of this, but there's also another one. Dealing basic attack damage increases Spectro damage. Stackable, and with max stacks, casting Resonance Liberation increases basic attack damage. So this could be another set for her as well, and that's honestly what I'm thinking, is that she's actually going to arrive with 2 sets, and I guess have a sub DPS role, and then also a main DPS role. As far as I'm concerned, there's no Spectro basic attack damage dealer in the game. There's not one. So I'm assuming she's going to deal basic attack damage and just have 2 sets available. So with that context in mind, guys, she might be one of our first sort of like multi-role characters in the game, other than, well, it's just ironic that the other multi-role character is also Spectro, because yeah, it's Phoebe. So yeah, that's what it's looking like over here. So main DPS mode plus sub DPS supporting the tune break mode. And I think that alone is going to give her a lot of inherent value. However, I would like to wait and see what her overall performance is. But if she's viable in both roles and feels very strong in both roles, she could potentially be one of the best possible picks in the game. And this is why I think, again, I don't know why else there would be 2 of these in here. We don't have a Spectral basic attack damage dealer. I think these are both for her, and she really just has that flexibility built in. Otherwise, doesn't make that much sense, but that's what I'm going to go with for now. Overall pull value, probably very high. You pull her initially, play her as a main DPS, and then when there's a DPS or another character that she supports that comes out, then you switch her to sub DPS mode. Much like how Phoebe operated, and Phoebe was also one of the highest value pulls in the game, assuming that you pulled Zani too. However, this does kind of, to unlock that additional value, this does tie you into the idea that you are pulling whoever she works for. And this is the thing. Imagine you did that for Phoebe and you didn't actually like Zani. Well, now it doesn't matter that Phoebe has 2 modes. You have to pull Zani to be able to use it. And if you don't, then it's like she doesn't have it. So that's some of the caveats over there. That's some of the limitations. But overall, I think she's going to be a very high value pick. Now let's move on to the next unit. We got none other than Cartethyia. And I think that there's just a bit of a bitter pill we need to swallow when it comes to Cartethyia. Guys, I don't really think she's that great at all if you don't have Ciaccona on your team. And the thing is, these two characters, I might as well talk about them together in terms of overall pull value. You kind of want both of them. And if you don't have both of them, Cartethyia really suffers a lot. The reason for why Cartethyia and Ciaccona feel like they need each other is very simple. So, Ciaccona basically does this thing, and her essential thing is apply stacks of arrow erosion. She applies them with basically every attack in her kit, and then her liberation allows her to apply 20 stacks. The unfortunate thing is that her stacks of erosion tend to overcap, because you have a stack limit of 3, or with Arrow Rover or Chisa on the team, 6. And when you're at 6 and you add another stack, it just stays at 6. So what Cartethyia does is she consumes arrow erosion stacks when she attacks, to just deal the damage and then reduce the stat count by 1. And so, wow, what better way to battery our own damage than to have somebody apply 20 stacks, and what better way for me to battery their damage by taking off a stack every second? So that's kind of the relationship that these two characters have. Unfortunately, though, when you don't have Ciaccona, you lose a lot of damage amp on Cartethia's abilities, and you have to quick swap back into her small form to, like, rebuild the stacks. Otherwise, you're going to lose up to 100% amplification damage on her ultimate, which is not good to miss. You basically don't do any fucking damage with the ability. So that's why they're so closely tied together, and that's why her DPS, Cartethia's, falls off so rapidly if you don't have Ciaccona on the team. So there you go. The good news is that Cartethyia is also one of the more budget characters in the game, just from like a performance perspective. That's because you can simply use her with the free Arrow Rover and get basically 5-star level support levels of performance from him, despite the fact that he's completely free. So if you're building out the Cartethyia team, it's one of the cheapest teams in the game because you only need 2 units, her and then her. That's pretty much it. And then when you get that combo going, well, you'll be able to clear pretty much all the content in the game that isn't arrow resistant. However, you do have a bit of a hiccup when it comes to Wuthering Waves and clearing it with this character. You do have to play relatively sweaty, do a bunch of swaps, go back to like your Ciaccona and stuff to do some nonsense and build up arrow erosion stacks if you do want to get good scores with her. She also has a bit of a, I would say, signature reliance situation, simply due to the fact that she scales off of HP. And there's not really any weapons in the game that give HP. And this is the only HP weapon in the game that gives, like, good levels of, like, you know, damage amplification and stuff. And so the issue kind of, like, stands. Yeah, she does feel a little bit premium in some ways, but she does have, and still probably will have, the highest DPS in the game. And she does have premium upgrade options as well by having Chisa on her team, too. So that's something that you can do if you're looking for an opportunity. But I would just mainly say, if you don't have her, I don't think you need her. But if you do basically want, like, I would consider her to be, like, the Lamborghini of Uwa. Like, she's like a luxury car, in that you don't need her. You don't need any of her teams. She's not necessary at all to clear any of the content, but she gives you the best overall performance in the game. But can feel a little bit expensive to maintain, especially when you consider that this is, like, her full premium team. But it's just, the pieces right now aren't very usable elsewhere. She's not being used in any other team. She's not being used in any other team. This is actually the most flexible character in that lineup. Ciaccona is the most flexible character out of the premium arrow erosion team. Might as well talk about her then. Because yeah, we've already talked about Cartethyia. Like I said before, you're not going to hate yourself if you skip her. I think that's the main thing. So yeah, Ciaccona. So like I mentioned, Ciaccona's going to be an essential partner for Cartethyia, but Cartethyia is not an essential partner for Ciaccona, because Ciaccona is basically a general arrow buffer that works with anybody that deals arrow damage. And it doesn't matter if they scale off of attack, because Cartethyia doesn't. They just need to deal arrow damage. And the thing is, Ciaccona actually has a bunch of different premium teams. She has around 3 of them, where she works with Iuno as a main DPS with Arrow Rover. She works with Iuno and Gian to make a premium arrow team that, honestly, I've seen the clear times. It performs almost identically to the Cartethyia team and performs better than the Cartethyia team in Weewalk. So it's like she manages to make so many 5-star characters so good, and then she also has so many different teams. And just from like a team building perspective, giving you the best overall performance in a bunch of different lineups, she's there. She's up there. She's one of the most valuable units in the game. However, pretty much all of Ciaccona's teams are Giga Premium teams. From the perspective of, you kind of only use Ciaccona with other 5-star limited units. And if you don't have them already, then there's not a lot of places to use her. But if you do have them, then she adds a lot and basically elevates a bunch of teams at once. The end result is kind of like, man, she has a lot of prerequisites for her performance, but her performance is really, really, really good. And I think that's something that has to be recognized. Just know that she's high value, but also has high expenditures along the way. So yeah, that's going to be the 5-star characters. Now let's go ahead and talk about the 4-star ones. Yang Yang is unfortunately a piece of dog shit nowadays, because her main thing was her ability to group on a somewhat regular basis. Now there's so much more available grouping, and Bu Ling just does her job, but better. Bu Ling is literally a version of her that's just better. Bu Ling groups for longer, gives better buffs, and does, I guess, less damage, but she doesn't do that much damage anyways. The main thing that she provides is ER to the team, and then when you get her to S6, a 20% attack boost. But the thing is, with an outro skill that only gives 20 energy, and then other outro skills are giving 38% damage amp, I'm sorry, it's just, you can't use this anymore. She's too old, too outdated, not good enough. Next up, let's take a look at Baizha. This character essentially is just made to feel bad unless you have variation at like R5. And even if you do, the character still feels a little bit bad. I'll just say overall, there are so many better options nowadays, Bu Ling being one of them. However, I was gonna say, even in her role as like the Carlotta Jeja healer, because she gives a 12% glacial damage boost, Bu Ling is also better. So it like doesn't matter. She's just completely power crept by Bu Ling in every single way. You're never gonna use her as long as Bu Ling is here, because Bu Ling's just better. That's just the unfortunate part about releasing good 4-star units. Well, some 4-star units are gonna get replaced, and this is one of them. And Yohu, let's not even talk about her. She's still the most useless piece of shit character in the game. So yeah, now we're ready to move on and talk a little bit about the weapons. So naturally, alongside the characters, the weapons are going to be getting a bit of a rerun as well, for all the featured units. But you're still going to have Lynae's Weapon. And so I feel like Lynae's Weapon is going to be another dual purpose sort of weapon. It's going to fit the potential roles that she's going to play as a main DPS as well as a sub DPS buffer. So I imagine her weapon is going to have the same level of flexibility built in as well. It's also going to mean that you might actually really want it, because inherently that could give it high value too, because then you'd be able to have a DPS weapon, but then also have a sub DPS weapon at the same time. It's also got the little emojis and it looks really cool, so I'll give it that as a bit of a bonus. I do like how it looks. Next, you're gonna have the rerun weapons for, I've already talked a little bit about them, right? But you're gonna have the rerun weapons for Cartethyia and Ciaccona. So let's talk a little bit about Cartethia's weapon. I've already mentioned before, she doesn't have a lot of free-to-play options, right? Because she scales off of HP, her performance with her weapon elevates much higher. However, you do have to, make sure that your Echo build is a 4-4-1-1-1 to go alongside that. And I'll say, yes, she's the highest DPS team in the game, and her weapon is a part of getting that highest DPS. And running EOG, the next best option, is a pretty decent drop. It's like 25%. So yeah, I would say if you do pull her, you pretty much do kind of want her weapon to go on top of it. And that's just the nature of being an HP scaler. It's unfortunate, but yeah, you kind of do want that. Ciaccona, on the other hand, her weapon is extremely unnecessary. From the perspective of, it mainly provides a 10% arrow resistance reduction. It's nice. It gives that extra cherry on top, but you can just run Static Mist on her, and Static Mist it makes her easier to build because it gives you so much ER. So yeah, just do that instead, man. Just do that instead. It's better. Okay? You can pull this. It'll get you to like the top apex, right? But it's like, is that little extra cherry worth 70 pulls? No, it's not. And believe me, I have it. I don't regret pulling it, but I can also recognize it's not going to be that valuable. Now we got the weapons. They're all dog shit. I don't even want to waste time talking about these 4-star weapons. These two are the ones that restore like 20 resonance energy when you cast a skill and then have dog shit stats. And then you have the Undying Flame, which gives resonance skill damage. They're awful. Okay? So it's just you never actually use any of these ever. Use them for EXP. Now let's move on to phase 2 and talk a little bit about Mornye. The main thing that we know is that she's going to be a support for the Toon Break archetype. She also heals. So she's probably going to feel like, and it's just really odd that I'm saying this, she's going to feel like the Shorekeeper for Toon. She's going to feel like the Chisa for Toon. But the thing is, it's kind of, I'm just a little bit concerned about anybody being the Shorekeeper of anything else after the release of Chisa. Because let's just be real here. Chisa was meant to be the Shorekeeper of negative statuses, but if you don't release any fucking negative status characters, then she really can't be that, can she? And in the same vein, if Mornye is this Toon Break character, and they don't release any Toon characters, then what is she going to do? Be Chisa? Bro, this unit on my account is taking a fucking vacation. She works on one team, and she's going to be on vacation for the next 42 days, 50 days, because she's still not going to have any more teams. And so Mornye can literally just be in this situation where she just sits here scratching her ass for 40 fucking days because you don't have any teams to play her on. Like her. She literally does nothing. She does nothing on my account. She's useless. And that could easily be a simple future for this unit as well. Do you want to know why? Because all Kuro needs to do is just not release the archetype that she supports. And if that happens, GG, you'll get Chisa V2. And does anyone want Chisa V2 right now? Do any Chisa pullers actually enjoy the strategic benefit she's adding to their account? No. She's useless for everybody. She's useless for literally everybody. So yeah, that'll be my caveat with her. And this is the thing. With a support that isn't as general as Shorekeeper, and with a support that's specialized, as it clearly is shown that Mornye is, Chisa is a specialized support just like her. And there's a really good chance that a specialized support can get absolutely cooked. So be careful with this banner is what I'm trying to say. Be very careful. You're hinging all of her value on the schedule of future releases. And we've already seen firsthand how that can fuck you over. All right, now let's take a look at the next set of characters. We've got Augusta, and this is going to be my honest take. If you want a consistent level of performance, Augusta is probably the best character to pull in this entire version. If you want a consistent level of performance as like a new player that you know is guaranteed to be good and work, you want to pull Augusta. Do you want to know why? Because you're probably going to be able to get a copy of Mortiphy. And if you do, congratulations, you now have one of the best teams in the game. You got Augusta and Mortiphy, and then if Verena or Baija, you're good to go as like a completely new free-to-play player. You will destroy everything. Congratulations, right? That alone is enough. Because she has one of the best free-to-play performances you could possibly get. And then she doesn't even need like her weapon either, because she can work on a bunch of budget options. And likely will maybe be able to work with the new standard 5-star. But yeah, she works in all the endgame, works in Wuthering Waves with a little bit of practice and stuff, right? It's just a solid pick. And the good news is, she also has upgrades for a premium option, because then you could just pull Iuno. And guess what, guys? Iuno is probably the best sub-DPS in the game. Because you want to know what Iuno can do? She can do the same thing that I'm saying Lynae might be able to do. Be a sub-DPS as well as a DPS at the same time. And my general opinion is that if a new player starts the game, and they pull her, and then they pull her, that's the best setup they could possibly ever have to begin their Wuthering Waves career. because you'll have a Giga Premium team with the two of them combined. Then you'll have a separate team that Augusta can lead, and then a separate team that Iuno can lead with like fucking John Shin, bro. And then now you have like 2 teams. And the thing is, these 2 characters have such a high level of performance in every single game mode, and then just have like so much consistency in everything that they do. And then you also, when you're building them, you can farm for both of them at the same time because they both share the same nightmare nest. Well, I'm going to be real with you, man. It's a match made in heaven, actually. And I feel like players that started during 2.6 of WoWA pulled both of these 2 units are probably some of the most well-equipped people to just like play the game moving forward. So yeah, I'm just going to go out and say it. Unless these 2 completely shake up the meta in a way we haven't seen, these are the best 2 banners in the patch. These are the best 2 units in the patch. That's what I'm going to say. It's better than these 2, for sure. These 2 are better. So yeah, that's what I'll go with. And you want to know what's also better on this banner? You've got the 4 stars. Yeah, the 4 stars on this banner are better too. Okay, before we get into the 4 stars, let me just talk a little bit specifically about Iuno's strengths and what makes her so amazing. So, the thing about Iuno that makes her so amazing is that, yes, she has one of the best amplification skills in the game. It just straight up gives 50% heavy attack damage amplification. Yeah, that's a lot. And then she also has a passive where she gives damage amp if the character has a shield when they attack. She gets one. Augusta gets one too. That's like kind of like their special mechanic, the minor shielding that they get. And the character's damage is so high she can function as a main DPS. She can also be a sub DPS too. And it's just kind of like, frankly, a bit nuts. So yeah, that's one of the bonuses there. But yeah, with that out of the way, now let's get back to the 4 stars on this banner. And like I said, they're actually good 4 stars. Let's start off with one that's making a really fast return because she's already live right now. You got Dan Jin. And Dan Jin is an exceptionally good unit because she has extremely fast concerto, great overall general buffs to Havoc, and, I mean, she's been on so many banners, you probably already have her S6 by now, but then she also gives a 20% attack buff on S6. She also got a new Sonata set, too, where you can just use her on Midnight Veil, and then she's, like, really, really, really good. She's basically, like, Rosia, light, has a better rotation than Rosia, and then, like, she's just a solid character. And there's a reason why she's one of everybody's favorite characters since 1.0. While she is, you know, naturally a little bit older by now, and it's just, you know, it's whatever having her. She's just a solid free-to-play option, and there's a lot of Havoc teams for her to work on. With Havoc Rover, with Frolova, with Cantarella, even with Rosia herself, she can be used in a lot of places. And while, you know, veterans might not be using her very much anymore, she's a great asset early on in your playthrough. Other character that we're going to have is going to be none other than Sanhua. Right? And I think everyone knows by now, Sanhua is or was the best 4-star sub DPS in the game. I think that title goes to Mornye for now because there haven't been a lot of basic attackers. But hey, Lynae, from what we've seen, might be a basic attacker because of that Sonata set that we saw, right? So, yeah, she might work there too. Sanhua also has that same 20% attack buff at S6, which is really, really, really nice. And then she also has one of the fastest rotations in the game. So, solid pick. Last 4-star is going to be Ciaccona. She's a DPS, but she kind of is just not really used nowadays anymore. But she does have a cool thing at S6 that gives her like a use case on the mono fusion teams where she can like buff basic attack damage, right? So that's cool. Maybe you can use her with Lynae. I don't know. It's just, Ciaccona's Ciacca. She's just like that nice, quirky little 1.0 unit that you use her a little bit, but then she kind of goes to the wayside. And I think that's just what's going on with her, unfortunately. So, yeah. Now let's move on to our weapons. So, like I said before, this is going to be for a character who is meant to be a healer for an archetype. I'm assuming you should just be able to use Discord instead of this, the ER Broadblade. So, the great news is that Discord is on this banner. So, hell, this might be potentially one of the best banners ever. Who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe Discord will be best in slot on her and it'll just be on this banner for some reason. Would be wild. But yeah, like I mentioned before, this is a weapon for an archetype healer. And so it could just be like Kumo Kiri, which currently Kumo Kiri is a piece of shit. This is possibly the most useless signature in the game. I'm just letting you all know that. This could be that. Just so you know. Now let's move on and talk about Augusta and Iuno's weapons. Augusta's weapon and Iuno's weapon are essentially the same thing. The idea is that their weapons give them a very small damage bonus of only about 20%. However, they build up a stacking defense ignore buff as they hit their targets. And so the basic thing is that they gain less damage boost, but more defense ignore. And the end result, they deal extra damage. And I'm not going to say that they're the best signatures ever, because you could just use Zhang Liao's signature or Jian's signature. But if you don't have Jian or Zhang Liao's signature, then yeah, just pick up Augusta's or Iuno's. It gives them a nice damage boost, but the thing is that they also have a bunch of other options as well. You can just use a regular crit damage stat stick on Augusta and you'll be just fine, right? You can just use, honestly, a bunch of different gauntlets on Iuno and you'll be just fine. These characters are ones that don't like need their signatures to do exceptionally well. But if you do want their highest level of performance, yeah, get their SIGs. But I'm not going to go ahead and say that these are SIG-reliant units that have like a crazy blend of stats that only their SIGs provide. It's just damage and defense ignore. That's it. It's like there's nothing crazy on here. There's nothing like revolutionary that's going on with the stats that are being provided. So yeah. Overall, I would say get them if you really like the character. You want to boost their damage to the highest levels possible, but they're not necessary for the characters to clear all the content in the game. So yeah, overall, that is going to be the triple banner lineup and our breakdowns for all of the units. And the thing is that I'm surprised it didn't actually take that long to go over everything, but I'm also not that surprised it didn't take that long to go over everything because, well, we're entirely skipping the discussion over here, frankly, when it comes to these two. What I will say is that all of these polling opinions can naturally shift based off of the actual power level and the strength of these units. Lynae could be the most broken shit ever. Kuro could introduce an absurd amount of power creep in 3.0 that absolutely changes the game completely, right? And like completely causes all these units to be dog shit, and you should only pull these two, right? But this is the thing. This is not Zenless Zone Zero or Honkai Star Rail, so I don't really think that's going to happen. I think these two are going to release, and honestly, I'm of the opinion that they're going to release and maybe feel a little bit underpowered. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened. In a similar way, I feel like this character could actually end up feeling like a lot more like Chisa than we thought. I'm just surprised we're releasing two healers right after each other for completely separate archetypes. So yeah, I think that alone is telling me we're not gonna have an overpowered, overpowered new character releases. I feel like she's gonna feel useless. That's just my take. But overall, excited to see what's planned for the future of this game. And hopefully this polling video, this polling guide has helped you at least feel a little bit more educated on the route forward for your Astrite and Radiant Tides. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.